And now, you're listening to the Mad Dad Podcast with your host, Gabe Gonzalez.
Hey everyone, today millions of Americans and people all over the world are waking up to the same nonsensical news and media that floods their social circles and media outlets every day. It's time to flip the script and embrace the truth, freedom, and faith-based value. That's what this podcast is all about. We're here to offer you truth and motivation. I'm your host, Gabe, and you're listening to the Mad Dad Podcast. Let's get mad. Let's get motivated. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mad Dad Podcast. Today is Mad Dad Monday. Let's go. If you're new to the Mad Dad Podcast, we want to say welcome and thank you for tuning in today. Do us a favor, hit the like button on this episode, hit the subscribe button to our YouTube channel, or if you're watching on rumble.com, and also follow us on Instagram at Mad Dad Podcast. Every week we are promoting our content and we're putting out fresh, exciting content for you on a weekly basis, especially on our Instagram account. So if you want to stay connected with us, we want to invite you to connect with us on all of our social media platforms. If you're a returning guest of the Mad Dad Podcast or you are a fan of the Mad Dad Podcast, we want to say thank you so much for your support, and you can continue to help us by spreading the word about this podcast. We drop an episode every single Monday, and we are hoping to bring to you more and more exciting content. From all of us at the Mad Dad team, thank you so much for your support, and we cannot do this podcast without your support. Speaking of support, if you would like to financially support the Mad Dad Podcast, it would mean the world to us. All you have to do is go to our website, maddadpodcast.com, and give a donation, give a contribution. Any amount that you give will really help us out. As you can imagine, to put on a production like this, it does cost us money, and so we rely on your financial support and your generous donations to help us. Just so you know, every dollar that comes to the Mad Dad Podcast, we give away 10% of that to our partners, CORE, Convoy of Restoration. Convoy of Restoration is a local nonprofit that helps those that are in dire straits and those that are in needs. And we have a big announcement coming up very soon. In the month of April, we're going to be partnering with CORE at a community event, and there's going to be more information coming to you about that, so you want to stay tuned for that. But right now, you can support the Mad Dad Podcast financially, even if it's $5, $10, by going to our website, maddadpodcast.com, and giving us a donation. Anything that you can give would be a huge blessing to us, and we would be so grateful for your financial support. While we're talking about financial support, I also want to let you know that every dollar that you spend at the Mad Dad Podcast, whether you're purchasing merch or whether you give a donation, every dollar that you spend will get you 5 entries into our AirPod raffle. We're going to be giving away a pair of AirPod Pro 2nd Gen at the end of this month. Every dollar, whether it's a donation or you spend money in our merch shop, every dollar that you spend gets you 5 entries into that raffle. So don't miss your opportunity to get a brand new pair of $250 AirPod Pros today. maddadpodcast.com. Today I'm super excited because this is the 10th episode of the Mad Dad Podcast. I launched this podcast right in the first week of December, and right away we started getting an overwhelming response of support and people reaching out to us telling us that they really enjoy this content. On an average, during the week, we're reaching about 5,000 to 7,000 people per week with this content, and that number is continuing to grow. But as we grow, I want to ask you to help us. If you enjoy this podcast, or if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out, I'm sure that there's topics that you would want to hear about. I'm sure that there's ideas that you might have for us. And so we want to ask you to engage with us, whether that's leaving a comment on our videos, if you want to send us an email or DM us on social media, or potentially if you want to collaborate with us, we would be more than willing to hear you out and to hear your ideas. So that way this show can grow with you as a contributor. So I want to ask you today to take the opportunity, even if it's just 5 minutes, to send us a message on Instagram, or to send us an email, or to comment on one of our videos and let us know your thoughts about our podcast. Let us know what we can do to improve. So please reach out to us and tell us what you would like to see on the Mad Dad Podcast. All right, guys, we're going to get into some Monday motivation. This is one of my favorite segments of the Mad Dad Podcast, and I know it's a favorite for many of you. As you all know, from the beginning of this year, I've been sharing with you about my journey of transformation, transforming my life, transforming my health, transforming my disciplines and my habits. And I want to just say, first and foremost, thank you for all of the support, because many of you have been very supportive. I've gotten a lot of messages on Instagram. Some of you have reached out to me and just encouraged me on my journey. And I want to say thank you, because that support really means a lot. It really pushes me. It really motivates me. And to be honest with you, there's some days when, I'm on this journey that I feel like quitting or that I feel like giving up. And then I remember I have a podcast where I talk about this stuff so openly. And so I feel like this is a great way for me to stay accountable, because I say I got to show up next week and I better look like I'm losing weight, and I better look stronger, and I better be consistent, and I better keep talking about this, because by putting, my personal life out there, it's actually making me accountable to each and every one of you. So I just want to say thank you for your support. And speaking of support, I did something this past week that honestly I was not anticipating to do. It wasn't something like that I planned out, but I just did it because a few of you have been reaching out to me. Actually, a lot of you, more than 20 people, actually I think now more than 30 people have reached out to me. And one of the things that people have been asking me is if I can create some sort of accountability group for those who are looking for community in their fitness journey. And so just like I posted a story on my personal story. I've been posting some of my videos, my workouts, and I just put a poll up there. I was like, how many of you would join a fitness community or a group where we can have accountability? And 97% people said yes. I only had like 2 people that said no. But there was a lot of people who responded. And so just kind of out of the blue, I was like, you know what? Or I'm going to set this up. And if you know me, you know anything about me, I'm just like an all-in type of person. And so when I do something, I try not to just throw, half-hearted stuff out there. I just give it everything. And so I ended up creating a Facebook community page called Elite Fitness Mind, Body, Soul. Now, I want to just put this disclaimer out there. Even as you're watching right now, you're like, dude, you do not look like an elite fitness warrior. Well, look again. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Anyway. I know I don't look like an elite. I know I do not look like an elite fitness warrior yet. I will give it time. But the whole point of this is not to say like, oh yeah, I'm this amazing fitness coach. No, dude, I'm on the journey. As a matter of fact, I'm 8 weeks into the journey of really being consistent. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is to create a community for people to come together and find motivation, find accountability, and find encouragement. And as I've been talking about through this entire year, I am not just focused on losing weight. Weight loss is not the goal. I'm focused on discipline. I'm focused on whole wellness. Wellness in my mind, wellness in my body, and the wellness of my soul. And so that's where that comes from. Elite fitness, meaning top-notch, having the greatest, strongest attitude and mindset that I can possibly have. Mind, body, and soul. So if you're interested in joining this group, this community, I want to encourage you. The link's in my bio, or you can just go to Facebook and type Elite Fitness Tribe. Elite Fitness Tribe is officially what the group is called, and request to join, and I would be more than happy to have you join. And in that group, we already have a good number of people that have joined, and we're talking about our journey. We're sharing food ideas. We're talking, mental talk about, the mental battles that we face in this journey. We're talking, workout tips. It's a really neat collaborative community. And I'm actually really surprised that there's a lot of people that are starting to join who are in different parts of their journey. I have some people that have been working out, 8, 10, 12 years. I have some people that are former nutrition coaches, and then I have people that are just starting out. I have people like me who are, on the beginning of the journey. The great thing is that there's no judgment. There's no, looking down on people. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We're all working together towards our goal. So if you want to join the Elite Fitness Tribe, the Elite Fitness Community, Mind, Body, Soul, check it out. You can access it through my website, or you can go to facebook.com and look for Elite Fitness Tribe. All right, let's get into today's motivation. What I want to talk about today I think, is the key to making the change that you need to make in order to become the person that you've always dreamed of becoming. Now, I've shared a lot of tips, I've shared a lot of ideas, and I'm going to keep doing that. But today, I want to talk about something that I believe is vital to understanding and vital to grasping in order to make the change that you need to make. And that's going to start, what I'm going to talk about today is going to start right here in your mind. Mental wellness. That's what I want to talk about today. Mental wellness. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not even a family therapist. Nothing like that. Okay. I'm only going to share with you what I know from my personal journey and from my personal experience. Let me just start by saying this. And I saw a great post this week by Pastor Craig Rochelle that says, anxiety is not a sin. Anxiety is not a sin. It's not sinful to be anxious. Anxiety is a sign or it's a trigger that you are undergoing stress and that you need help. And I want to talk about this because first I want to say that if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like you don't have control of your life, you don't have control of your mind, you don't have control of anything, and you're feeling, overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious, I want you to know that you are not alone, number one. Because usually what follows anxiety and even depression is a sense of isolation, an overwhelming sense of feeling like you're on an island by yourself, like no one understands, no one can, and I'm not saying this demeaningly because I've been there. You get to a point where you feel like you're the only one who can understand what you're going through. You get to a point where you feel like nobody else will get what I'm feeling. No one can see what I'm going through. And it's a very mentally stressful sensation and feeling of feeling just all alone. And usually it's in that place where both spiritually, where Satan, he begins to really press down on that, like I call it like a pressure point. He begins to really put a lot of pressure in that in that headspace, in that mindset of isolation, of loneliness, of being, no one understands me, no one gets what I'm going through. I'm all by myself. I have no support. But not just spiritually, that begins to slowly take over your body. It begins to take over your emotions. It begins to take over your physical wellness, because when you're in that headspace, you're no longer motivated to accomplish your goals. You're no longer motivated to put your body through additional stress like exercise and physical wellness. You're not motivated to make healthy choices, because when you get to that point, you're so overwhelmed that all you want to do is actually find a release. You want to find something that will cause you physically, spiritually, and emotionally to release. And so we tend to turn towards different devices of gratification. For some people, it's eating. For some people, it's sexual. For some people, it's, certain habits. For some people, it's talking to certain people. It's turning to, drugs, alcohol, bad relationships, putting yourself the list goes. It really varies from person to person, and is usually not something that we're wanting to talk about or share with other people. But the reality is that when you get to that point, we look for some sort of release. And so when you find yourself in that place that starts from anxiety or a form of anxiousness, and you slowly progress over into that, depression and feeling lonely, feeling isolated, you can't really move out of that without someone helping you. And I've experienced this myself. Like I very rarely have I ever heard somebody talk about how they overcame all of that by themselves. It usually requires some sort of intervention. It usually requires somebody, a friend, a family member, a church, a community, and even divine intervention to help pull people out of that pit. And so I want to talk today about that place of mental wellness, because first of all, I want to tell you that you're not alone, and that you're not the only person who's struggled before. You're not the only person who's been where you're at. There are people probably that you don't even know their whole story in your life, that have gone through some of the things that you're going through. And so the first step to finding that place of peace, finding that place of mental wholeness and wellness, is to reach out and ask for help. I remember in 2020 or 2021, there was a story of a pastor's wife in the Midwest who ended up committing suicide. And, by all accounts, this lady was happy. By all accounts, she was living a good life, and in fact, she was an author of a book about overcoming depression. So she wrote a book about overcoming her depression. And she was, very open in the past about, her helping other people out of depression. And one Sunday afternoon, she goes into her bedroom while her little two boys are playing video games in the room next door, and she commits suicide. And I remember reading this, and I remember it was tragic. I even went live on my Instagram, and I talked about this with tears just streaming down my face, because I thought to myself, how does someone like that, someone who writes a book on overcoming depression, someone who's, in a role of ministry, someone who's a pastor, how does someone like that get to the point to where they feel so hopeless that they end their life in the room next to their children? How does that person get to that point? And I think, and that no one knew about it. Her husband didn't know she was feeling that way. And at the end of the day, while I can't understand everything she went through and everything she faced and what she was believing, and any type of suicide is horrendous. It's horrible. It's heartbreaking. At the end of the day, I have to believe that somebody was not aware of what she was going through. Otherwise, they would have tried to help her. And so I want to encourage you that if you're in a place of unrest, mental instability, and I don't mean like cuckoo crazy, I just mean feeling so stressed and so pressured and so anxious that you feel like you can't function physically, you need to reach out for help. If you can't talk to a family member, then find professional help. Find professional support. Find the help that you need, because you are not alone and you can get out of the pit that you're in. But I want to talk about this a little bit deeper today. And I want to talk about the importance of having peace in your mind, the importance of mental wellness, because if your mind is not where it's supposed to be, if your mind is not well, your body and your spirit, your soul cannot be well. And this is really the key to the transformation that we are looking for in our lives. One of the things that I've experienced on this journey of transformation and this journey of discipline is the battle in my mind. As a matter of fact, I'll go as far as to say that the battle that's happening right here between these two ears, right? The battle that's happening inside of my mind is 10 times more difficult and more hard than the physical training and the physical stress that I'm putting my body under when I go and I exercise. And I'm in the gym 5 to 6 days a week doing really hard workouts, trying to build muscle and shed fat, right? And those exercises, they're hard. My body burns. I feel it in my muscles. I feel it in my heart. Like I sweat it out. Like I'm going hardcore, man, because I'm really trying to make that change. And those moments are like, they're tough. But what's even tougher is the mental battle that takes place every single day. From the moment that I wake up to the moment that I get going to the gym, to the moment that I go through my day, through the stressors of life, work, you got your family, you got your children, all of the different things that are happening. It's this constant battle that's happening right here. And it's a battle that is spiritual, because there's spiritual things that we dealing with our thoughts, dealing with, thinking godly thoughts versus worldly thoughts, thinking, having the right mindset, having the right attitude, having the right interactions with other people. But it's also just fighting yourself, fighting your own internal will that doesn't want to change, that doesn't want to grow, that doesn't want to be the best version of yourself. And so sometimes, the battle is not spiritual in the sense, like, I'm not talking about, dealing with lust or I'm talking about, like, I just don't want to get up. Like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to eat right. I want to eat, this. I want to eat, donuts instead of strawberries. Like, just even that battle right there can be so stressful. It could be so overwhelming. It could feel at times like, man, how am I ever going to get through this? But here's what I want to encourage you with. And this is why I started this support community, the Elite Fitness Tribe, Mind, Body, and Soul. Do you know, honestly, what has helped me in my mental wellness this year? Do you know what has helped me grow? Do you know what has kept me on track? Do you know what is keeping me moving forward? It's not the physical changes that I'm seeing in my body. It's not the gains. It's not the reward of, dropping, inches in your waist and your clothes fitting you better. I mean, all those things are nice. They're wonderful. What's keeping me moving forward has been the support, the accountability, and the motivation and encouragement that I have received from so many people. There's people right now on social media that I'm watching, some of them that I know personally, some that I don't know, but I'm, seeing them on social media that are encouraging me with their content, that are encouraging me with their exercise, that are encouraging me with their commitment. But then there's the people in my life, in my family, even my wife, who are encouraging me and motivating me to continue to move forward. And that is what is driving me. And even beyond that, when on the days when I just really don't feel like getting out of bed, when I don't feel like exercising, when I don't feel like eating healthy, when I don't feel like, praying, when I don't feel like doing all of those disciplines that are going to make me into the person that I want to be, I think about my children. I think about being a father and what I hope to be for my children, that I hope to be strong, that I want them to know that their dad is strong, that he's able to take care of them, that he's able to provide for them, he's able to protect them. And even beyond that, I'm thinking about what kind of adults that I want them to be when they grow up. That when they grow up, that they are disciplined, that they take care of their bodies, that they take care of their health. Something so cool that happened recently is, as I've been running and jogging, I invited my son Eli to jog with me, because my son Eli, he's 9 years old, and I'm not that fast of a jogger, and he's exercising. He's young, and he's in shape, and so he can jog. And so we've been jogging together, which has been awesome, father-son bonding time. But as we were jogging one day, and I'm like all out of breath, and having a hard time breathing, my feet hurt, everything's just burning. I looked over to him and I told him, I said, "Son, I want you to promise Dad something to the best of your ability. And that is, as you get older," I said, "do everything you can to take care of yourself. Take care of your body. Take care of your physical health." I said, because it's so important. Your physical health is so important. It's going to affect every area of your life. And I said, don't be like Dad. Don't make the poor choices that Dad made. And he may not understand all the implications of that at 9 years old, but I just got so emotional, because I thought, I'm training up my son to become a man of discipline. And I'm showing him what it looks like to push past the pain, to push past the opposition, to have mental wholeness and mental wellness, physical wholeness and physical wellness. And so what I want to tell you is this, and this is where I'm at in my journey. Do I still have the mental battle? Absolutely. Do I still struggle sometimes? Absolutely. But what I want to encourage you is that the more consistent that you are, and the more you continue to make the right choices, and the more you continue to make the hard sacrifices, the easier it becomes, and the better that mental wellness gets. And I can say this genuinely. I'm not selling you anything. Like, I don't get anything from saying this. I can say this to you genuinely. My mental strength, my mental wellness, my mental ability, my thoughts, my daily thoughts my thought process, my mental sharpness and awareness and acuteness and focus has gotten so much stronger and so much more zoned in since I have been consistently making positive choices. Since I have consistently been open about my journey and had encouragement and accountability and motivation from other people. In fact, I love exercising in the morning. So people say, man, Gabe, you go to the gym so early. Why are you guys there? Starting my day out with exercise causes me not only physically to feel better, but mentally to be better and more prepared for my day. And so, again, I told you, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I can't explain to you, all the, science behind all of it. But this is what I want to encourage you with today. This is what I want to motivate you with today. Don't give up in your journey. It's important for your mind to be well. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed, if you're struggling with depressing thoughts, if you're always beating yourself up, if you're always talking negatively about yourself, don't look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, I'm so ugly, I'm so fat, or I'm not where I want to be. Don't do that to yourself. I mean, be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself, but speak positively and get help. If you're going through a difficult season in your life, get the help that you need. Reach out to somebody and say, hey, look, man, I need some motivation. I need some encouragement. You know what? If you need motivation, encouragement, reach out to me. Reach out to me through the DM. I'll motivate you. I'll do everything I can to encourage you, to tell you, hey, man, you got this. You can do this. Whatever your goals are, maybe you're already fit. You're not, unfit like me. Maybe you're a fit person, but you have other goals in your life. You're trying to be disciplined. Fitness is not the only goal, by the way. You have people in your corner. You're not alone. You're not isolated. And I'm telling you, mental wellness is the beginning. It's the foundation to wholeness. Your mind has to be right. The Bible says that whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are right, think on these things. When we think on those things, the God of peace, the Bible says he's able to help us. The God of peace will give us the peace that we need. And so I want to encourage you today. I want to motivate you wherever you're at. As much as you focus on your physical wellness, you need to focus 10 times more on your mental wellness. There's different ways you can do that. Practice meditation, practice different arts for breathing, stress reducers, stop working all the time. Give yourself some time to think. Give yourself time to pray. Get surrounded by a community of supporters and helpers and motivators. Do what you need to do, because I promise you, when you start making positive, consistent choices in your life on a consistent basis and a repetitive basis over time, that mental battle gets easier. You feel better about yourself. You feel more confident. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You have more control. You have more discipline. So this is what I want to share with you today, and I hope that it encourages you wherever you're at in your journey. You have what it takes. If you guys are interested, I put a poll out on our Instagram asking how many people wanted me to give an update about my journey. So I'm going to be putting a date out there pretty soon where I plan to go live and talk about my journey. And if you're interested in that, let me know. Again, if you want to join the Elite Fitness Tribe, I'm not a personal trainer, but it's just a community of supporters and motivators. Go to my Facebook page and join today, or DM me on Instagram and I'll send you the link. We'd love to have you join. And we hope that you enjoyed today's content. Again, please share with us your feedback. Give us topics that you want to hear about, what you want to hear us talk about. I know there's a lot of things happening right now in the world, but we want to give you topics that you're interested in, that you care about. And if there's anything we can do better, please let us know. All right, guys, this is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at Mad Dad Podcast. Follow us on YouTube and also on rumble.com. If you enjoyed today's content, please leave us a comment and let us know. And we pray that wherever you're at, that you stay blessed. Stay mad, stay motivated. We'll see you next week. This has been the Mad Dad Podcast.